So now all 10 teams have released their cars ahead of winter testing, round 1 in Bahrain and the 2021 Formula 1 season. It was a condensed winter break as we fell the checkered flag in Abu Dhabi in 2020, so it was less time for the teams to be working on what was under their cars and of course their liveries and their presentations and everything to get ready for this season. We've even had a few rebranded teams which look like new teams, drivers moving. It's been exciting in the winter break. And I've got to say, these last few weeks of the car launches, the team launches, the livery launches, the kit launch, the merch launch, everything like that, has been, to be honest, quite exciting. So in today's episode, I'm going to be ranking in my tier list format. The second time I've done this, as I did the Instagram a few weeks ago, and be ranking the team launches, the car launches, ahead of the 2021 Formula 1 season. But the biggest thing that we were excited to see in the McLaren car was, of course, the reintroduction of the Mercedes engines. Since 2014, they vacated for Honda and then Renault, but now Mercedes is back, and of course, seeing that the actual team of Mercedes and how well they were doing, it was only exciting that McLaren got their car back. So now as we look at the car, it was a spectacular launch in Woking, and we even covered it on the show as we look at the new McLaren car. There isn't much change, to be honest, here. The liveries stayed pretty much the same. Orange and blue in a pretty neat, tidy car all the way around. The car does look a lot slimmer as well, and as Lando and Daniel went into more detail on the launch, I said that Mercedes car, that Mercedes engine, is definitely helped in terms of how they've been able to structure the chassis. It does look good, but there isn't much change from last year. So in the ranking system, I'm going to put this on tier 3, and that is decent. Now the next team is AlphaTauri. Now remember last year, they could have gone in any direction when it came to colour, when it came to livery. Of course, being a brand new team, rebranding from Toro Rosso. This year, we pretty much knew the colours and what they were going to be sticking to, but again, it was still anyone's ball game of where they wanted to go with their car. One new driver in Formula 2 driver Yuki Tsunoda, and of course, Pierre Gasly was retained from last year. They come out with their new shiny overalls, a bit more of a darker look this time, more darker blue, which I thought looked really, really good. And then, of course, we went to the car. We followed the same standard as the two overalls that the drivers were wearing, which was more of a darker blue format in the car. Again, it was really nice to see, very, very striking as well. Darker themes seem to be creeping into Formula 1 over the last few years. A lot of the teams that used lighter colours, such as McLaren, kind of reverted down. Of course, McLaren went from the silver to the dark grey there on the way up. Maybe they were a bad example to use, but I definitely think that some teams are going down the darker route, and AlphaTauri seem to be doing that as well. Nevertheless, it does look really striking. The colours that they use as well, dark blue and white, again, just really good to see. Quite striking, you can imagine, on track. Obviously, the first race and testing is both at night, so I imagine it will look great in the sunset lighting of Bahrain. So I'm going to put that in tier 2, as it was looking good. And again, I'm very excited to see what they can do on track. They're also on their final season with Honda, alongside Red Bull Racing, and with a Japanese driver at the helm, they will want to impress so well. So I do think that AlphaTauri will have a good season in their looking good car. So the next car launch we saw was Alfa Romeo. They retained their two drivers last year from Kimi Raikkonen and Antonio Giovinazzi. They've had some good liveries, especially over the last few years since they went from Saab. I think it was 2017, they had an all blue and yellow, did look very good. And then, of course, bringing in Alfa Romeo, they start to have some better colours on the car. White and red, maybe not looking the best colours, especially for me. I'm more of a black and white. But nevertheless, it did look very striking on the car. It was more white than red, and again, it does look really striking to see on track. Very different to what I just said there about the AlphaTauri car going with the darker colours. They've definitely gone with more of the lighter colours as well. It will look striking and it will look bold out on track. More so in the day races, it will definitely catch your eye, but I'm definitely excited to see what it'll look like under the floodlight of testing and round 1 in Bahrain. This car did look very, very good, and again, down to the team launch as well, they did it in a very good manner. So I'm going to put this as the best car as we've seen so far in tier 1 of amazing. So the next launch we saw was Red Bull Racing, my team. Now, we were always expecting very much a big shake-up. They've brought some great test liveries over the last few years. I think they did a camo one, and then they did a black and red and a black and blue one. We expect to see something different from them. Of course, the team that been in second best for a very long time now. They've got a new driver, Sergio Perez, onto the helm. So what can they do with their stuff? Well, firstly, they brought out their overalls, and it did look very, very striking. They brought their merchandise out, and it looked really good. They do well when it comes to merchandise. Since about 2016, they've always made it quite appealing for us. Of course, sticking with the standard navy colour, but kind of making more of a, bold, different bull designs and things like that. So it does look quite good. We saw the merchandise and we saw the overalls, and we thought, we're going to have a good car here. But when we saw the launch, it wasn't any different. And really, this was quite a disappointment, to be honest. When you look at the Red Bull car, the first notice is on the rear wing. Of course, that used to say Aston Martin, and there was also Aston Martin decals all around the car. Aston Martin, of course, have vacated for, of course, Aston Martin, the actual team, which we'll get onto in a little bit. So that was replaced by Honda. Now, firstly, it is good to see that Honda have taken more of a stance with Red Bull. As just mentioned there with AlphaTauri, it is their final season with Red Bull and AlphaTauri as an actual brand. But of course, Red Bull maintain the Honda car engine for the next few years with the engine rights. So they have definitely taken more of a step with the car. Red Bull have maintained some of the sponsors as well, and of course the same colours which have been basically never changing since the team were established in Formula 1 over a decade ago. So not much change on the Red Bull car, and even though I'm a fan, and even though I do like Sergio Max's overalls, and even though I am excited to see what it can do, and I do think the Honda engine will be strong, I'm going to put it in as meh. So the next car launch was Alpine, the brand new team, of course, going from Renault. Now, the biggest thing about this is they were definitely going to be changing their colours. When they brought out their new logo around the midway part of last year, it was light blue. So the yellow and black that we saw from the Renault car was definitely not going to be there, and it was going to be a massive change. Using Esteban Ocon as an example, a man who we've used to be seen in yellow and black overalls, we were going to be seen in a completely different colour. Again, leaked images came out of what the car was going to look like. It was going to have the same colour on there of the light blue, but breaking into darker blue, as I mentioned there, with AlphaTauri going for some of the darker colours. But also, it was looking like it was going to have a bit of the French flag in there, of course, Renault being a French team. Alpine wanting to carry the colours forward, of course different from Renault, but still a French brand at heart. The car launch came out and we were definitely treated to something very, very special. It was a mix of light and dark blue, again catching the eye on track, but the main thing is the French flag. The colours of the French flag, the blue, white and red, was going to be definitely striking on the car. Again, as I've just mentioned there, carrying the French flag as all they do, as they fly around the world in F1. It was definitely striking as well. Very much like AlphaTauri, because it's their first season, we could have really seen anything that they would have brought out would have definitely been a change, but they definitely did it well. So I'm going to put this alongside Alfa Romeo in top tier of amazing. Now, the next team was Mercedes. Now, again, we were excited to see what the consoles could have been like. They stuck with the silver arrows for a long time, since 2012 to 2019. Of course, after the end racism campaign of 2020, they decided to swap out the silver arrows for black arrows to show their stand against discrimination and to end racism, as was Lewis and Formula One's message in 2020. They decided to carry that over into 2021, so we were expecting the same kind of livery from last year also. The big thing from last year was, of course, the red edition of Ineos, which is their main sponsor, of course, the sponsor of the cycling team, which was just above the driver's head in the cockpit. We're expecting that to take more of a stance in the car, but what we got to see on car launch was a little bit of what we kind of expected and what we didn't. This was a great car to see. I was really impressed with what we see. Now, as we can look on the front of the car, nothing's really changed, but it's more towards the rear of the car, which is amazing. We can see there the tone down back into the silver arrows, which is really special. Of course, we've got the red of Team Ineos. We've got the Mercedes logo, the red Mercedes logo of Niki Lauda. But then we've got AMG plastered all over the car. Now, obviously, some memes came out about how that looked when it first came out, but I'm very much happy with that. I think it looks good. It's looking good. And that's exactly where I'm going to put it in the tier list, alongside AlphaTauri in looking good. Now, the next team up is Aston Martin. Now, very much like Alpine, they could have gone in any direction, but we kind of already knew it was going to be sticking with the racing green, of course, the colours of traditional Aston Martin. They vacated Red Bull, as I've just mentioned, with their new drivers of Lance Stroll and Sebastian Vettel. It was going to be a good launch for them. Everyone was really anticipating what they had to launch. They did their merchandise, which is standard racing green. Then they brought the overalls out, which was a standard racing green, but then light pink on the cuffs of the driver's shoulders. Now, a lot of people were saying this was because of the BWT sponsorship. That is true, it is, but they have that on the car. I think, and a lot of people do think also, that it is there to signify the Force India / Racing Point of yesteryears. But nevertheless, it does look very good. And obviously, let me know in the comment section below, what do you think the actual pink represents? It was really, really striking to see. And then they brought out the car, which again is striking also. I definitely think in terms of the new cars, Alpine definitely took the crown over from Aston Martin, but it was still very striking to see. And for that, I'm going to give it looking good. Now, the next car to launch was Haas. Now, there's not much to say on when Haas launched their car. Now, firstly, the colours that they used, red, white and blue, could have been interpreted as anything. But of course, with Nikita Mazepin being from Russia and the Russian sponsors that have come into the American team, it looks like the Russian flag has been plastered on the car for Nikita Mazepin. Again, I don't want to say too much on that. I definitely aren't a fan, even if this had nothing to do with Nikita. I just don't think it looks very good. Firstly, yes, and obviously, as I just mentioned there, the red, white and blue, that's the colours of the American flag. Of course, Haas being American, that would have been good to see. But compared to some of the well, to be honest, since Haas have come into Formula 1, they've had some good liveries. I think 2017 was a standout one with the dark grey, of course, the American flag on the sides of the cars. They could have gone in any direction here. The direction that they've gone in is bad. I'm not a big fan, and that's even before Nikita, his name comes into it. I'm just not a fan. And even if this had nothing to do with that, even if they weren't an American team, even if they were a Russian team, I'm not a fan. So I'm going to put this at the bottom as nah, mate. So the penultimate team to launch was Williams. Now again, Williams obviously losing Sir Frank and Claire and bringing in Linton Capital last year. They could have gone in any really direction as they weren't really tied to any livery in the past. Of course, when they had Rocket, their kind of colours of light blue and white and a little bit of red looking like toothpaste, really didn't hit the spot. But now obviously Rocket vacated early last year and Linton have now come in, who were primarily a blue kind of colour but really don't have anything linked with them. They could have gone in any real direction. Williams' colours have been white and blue in the past, and for what they've launched, I absolutely love it. This could be one of my favourite cars, is my favourite liveries on the grid so far. It's a bit of a zebra cross of dark blue and light blue as we get towards the rear of the car. Of course, this front staying standard white. Again, there's just not really much to say about the Williams, but I'm a really big fan of that. Could be my favourite livery to see. I'm really, really excited to see that on the track. I think it looks stunning, and it will look much better than the liveries that we've seen on the Williams in the last few years, including the terrible toothpaste that we saw at the start of 2020, and then the reversion back to the light blue and white, which made me feel quite sick looking at that car. But this one is sexy. I really do like it, and it goes with Alfa Romeo and Alpine as amazing. Now, the last team to launch is Scadarria Ferrari, who launched yesterday in Maranello. Now again, Ferrari were the last team to do it, kind of trying to put on a show, as they have done for the past few years. Of course, Matteo Binotto releasing the car, which will be hopefully getting back to contending against Mercedes and Red Bull, which they really did not do last year. Now, of course, with Scadero Ferrari, one thing never changed, and that, of course, is the scarlet red on the car. That has never changed, and that will never change, and that is still on the car. A big difference, of course, is the Mission Win Now logo, which has now changed to a green colour. So the car is now yellow and green. It can be quite striking as well. Of course, we've seen colours like red and black and red and white in the past few years, but they have decided to go for green. Maybe like a racing green, maybe trying to copy Aston Martin. Don't really know why. There isn't really much heritage in that, but they've gone for green. It's more so just the scarlet red staying the same on the car. Really no massive differences in terms of that, but it's still a very good car nonetheless, and very much like McLaren. Not really much of a change, but I'm happy that they've kept kind of the same colours, the same concept, and I'm excited to see it on the tracks. I'm going to put it in the same category as McLaren, as decent. And there we go, guys. That is my tier list for the 2021 Formula 1 cars. It has been a good few weeks for the car launches, but that's not really the most exciting thing. We've then got winter testing, or as we should say, spring testing in Bahrain. And in Bahrain heat, it's more like summer testing for us. Definitely much hotter than it will ever be in Barcelona in March. And then, of course, we head a few weeks after that to the round 1 in Bahrain, and then we kick off the 2021 Formula 1 season. It should be very, very exciting. I cannot wait to see this season. Hopefully have a good season. Hopefully we can get fans in very, very soon. That, of course, includes Silverstone, and hopefully we can get back to normal on-track racing. But there we go, all 10 teams as well, of course, rebranded teams as Alpine and Aston Martin. New colours, new drivers in new kits, new merchandise, and it should be a good season. Let me know in the comment section below, guys, your favourite car as well. Favourite livery, favourite engine, and what car and what team are you excited to see most when we hit the track in only a few days' time in Bahrain for winter testing. It should be so incredible. I cannot wait. Thank you very much for watching. If you have liked what you're seeing around here, please subscribe to the GP Debate Show. We have so much more content coming for you in the next few weeks. Turn the notification bell on, you'll be notified every time we upload a video. Stay safe, and until next time, guys, enjoy Bahrain winter testing. One step closer to Bahrain round 1. And until next time, we'll see you later.